Welcome to The Future and You, ideas and opinion about the future based on verifiable facts of today. This episode is for October 17, 2012. I am your host, Stephen Euin Cobb. Our topic today is an even deeper penetration into the secrets of self-publishing electronically, as well as some frank advice about writing erotica. If you recall, during the applause at the end of last week's panel discussion, John G. Hartness announced that if anyone had more questions, they were welcome to join him for pizza. Well, when have I not had more questions? So I followed him. I interviewed him briefly and then turned off the recorder, but while we ordered pizza, he continued answering important questions, not just from me, but from several others who had joined him as well. So I asked if he, and everyone else joining him, were willing for me to turn the recorder back on and use the informal discussion over pizza as an episode of my show. And as you were about to hear, they all agreed. So what you are about to hear is an even more candid assessment of electronic publishing as it stands today. Most of the people at the table are either doing it now or seeking to do it. So the discussion focuses on what works, what does not work, and which famous or not famous writers have harnessed this new world of publishing to increase their career, and what can be learned by watching their success. By the way, getting people to speak candidly is valuable since they will describe more of those truths which generally remain unspoken. But if your ears are sensitive to profanity, today you will need to tread lightly, for you are about to hear a few vulgarities. It doesn't bother me, though I rarely swear myself. On the other hand, I like to use the clean tag for the show and a PG rating, so that one need never worry about kids listening to these episodes. This particular episode just won't get the clean tag. This was recorded on July 21, 2012, in a pizzeria in Chattanooga, Tennessee, during the science fiction and fantasy convention, LibertyCon. By the way, a few notes about things mentioned in this audio. One of the abbreviations you will hear is KDP. This stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, which is Amazon's website for all those who self-publish electronically. Karen is one of the people in the discussion. Her website is called Books on the Knob. The knob refers to her farm, which is on a hill, and has been called The Knob long before she owned it. And yes, I ordered the Hawaiian pizza because I like to experiment. And now on to our discussion. Here is John G. Hartness. First of all, your name and website.
John G. Hartness, www.johnhartness.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at John Hartness. Mm-hmm. You can also follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/John G. Hartness, and that's Hartness.
Okay. I just watched you in the panel concerning self-publishing and the effectiveness you've had with it. What's the very short takeaway from all of that?
It's a lot of work. It's incredibly rewarding. And I feel that self-publishing is going to be the new way for authors to break out and be discovered. People talk about Amazon becoming the new slush pile, and I think that's really true. And cream rises to the top. My pitch to my publisher, Bellbridge Books, when I wanted to sell my series, was I handed them a postcard and said, I've sold 10,000 books in 3 months. Would you like to have lunch? The answer was yes.
I would think.
And we've spent the last year polishing the books, making them better, and we're going to release the omnibus this fall.
You mentioned a lot of pros and cons, and the one con that I didn't hear from anyone was the speed at which the traditional publishers pay, which is usually about, I believe, once every 6 months, and it can be highly delayed beyond that as well.
I'm still really early in my traditional publishing career, so I only have other people's experience to draw from on that. But yes, typically with a traditional publishing contract, especially with a big New York company, you get paid in advance. That advance is broken up into 2 or 3 installments. You get your first one when you sign the contract. You get your second chunk of money when you hand in your final draft, and you get your third chunk of money when the book releases. Then you don't get any more money until the book earns out. And by that, you have earned more in royalties than you have been paid in an advance. Some books never earn out. A fair chunk of New York published books never earn out. So the only money an author ever sees for those books is the advance. Now an advance is nice. It's what authors used to say, that's what bought me my Porsche. Now it's more like that's what fixed my porch. Because advances, particularly in science fiction and fantasy, have dwindled dramatically over recent years. Pretty much cut in half. I'd say 5 years ago an average advance was $10,000. Now an average advance is $5,000 for a new author, one book.
You mentioned that you do a lot of short stories as well as novels, and also that you combine short stories into novels. Do you do that after you've published them separately as short stories?
Yes. I write the Bubba the Monster Hunter series of shorts, and my formula for making a pile of money off serialized fiction is very simple. Every month I write a short story featuring the same cast of characters. The short stories do have a conclusion, but just like with a TV season, there's an overarching story that some elements get expanded on in each short story. So basically what I do is I release each short story for 99 cents, digitally only. When I get 4 of them, I compile them into a collection at $2.99. So you buy 3, you get 1 free. When I get to the end of a year, I put the 3 collections together. This year it's going to include an origin novella, so it'll be 12 short stories plus a novella, and that'll release at a $9.99 price point.
Do you remove the short stories, or do you leave them up?
I leave them up.
Okay.
I leave them up as bait.
Okay.
It's my playground drug pusher.
Okay. Once the collection is together, do the short stories still sell well individually, or do they still sell somewhat?
They still sell a little. What I see is the first 2 months that a short story is out, it'll sell between, depending on where in the month I release it, it'll sell between 150 and 300 copies a month. Then once it's collected, the momentum does shift to the collection, but I'm still seeing 100 in the more recent stories, but even 24 or 36 copies in the very first Bubba short stories, which have been out now since October of last year. And really, 25, 30 copies a month, that's $10 a month. Not much money, but I've already made my money on these stories, so if it makes another $100 a year for me, it's $100.
Yeah, and you don't have to stock it. You don't have to keep reordering them to be made.
I'm not revising it. The cover is done. I have fun writing them. People still continue to discover the first story and send me emails or give me reviews and things like that, and it's awesome.
Okay. Thanks for taking time for the interview.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay.
That really is John's way of making a pile of money on serialized fiction, y'all.
Okay, don't say anything important. I'm putting it on pause. It wants to pop out of your mouth.
I have said for years that there should be a camera crew that follows me around forever. Not really because I'm that interesting, but because I end up in fun places.
I got a question. Dan was saying something about, they were talking about erotica. I mean, I don't write it, but he said, just don't make sure it's not girl on girl. What was he talking about?
Male erotica sells way more than anything else.
Male?
Yep.
That's because women read erotica.
It's women that are reading it, and male on male sells like crazy.
Really?
It's also almost all written by women.
Really?
Yeah.
It's the most bizarre thing.
It is a license to print money if you can write good erotica.
And it doesn't have to be long.
I bet there's YouTube videos on how to do it.
Selena Kitt makes $100,000 a month.
Oh, and her marketing is stellar. She is really using KDP to its ultimate. She probably has 20, 30 things up there free at any one time.
Yeah, and I mean...
If you got a 99-cent book, which is maybe 50 pages, puts it up free, stays free 3 days, pops off free, goes to rental, basically, at that point, at Kindle Prime. You make $1.22 to $1.50 something off each rental.
Sometimes as much as $2.
Wow. Yeah, depends on the month.
Right.
Depends on how much they're really pushing it. Right now, the rental, you can make more than on sales.
If
It
you're
won't
selling at
continue
99
forever.
cents.
My brother's gay, but he would never do this. He's very...
Well, he might be
I
right.
think
Maybe if you tell him how much money is in it.
Man,
Just take him out to lunch and have him
but
tell you
when I
the
started doing a review,
Yeah.
that was what I found so surprising, is how much of it is written by women.
Oh yeah, almost all of it.
But
Yeah, Jeff, start
because I
talking.
do have some people who give objections to it. When I cover that in the blog,
That's
I
the
said,
problem, he
but
doesn't
you're
drink
just really
either.
irritated by the Christian fiction covering it. My rule I originally made was I don't censor what gets put in there.
Take a lot of my,
The genre doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean,
It sells really
especially because nobody can tell what you're reading on your Kindle. So,
Then you could be
boom,
reading.
it's a license to read dirty books.
This is what I've learned so far.
Yay,
I've got 5 things up on the Kindle. 3 novels, traditional length novels. They're long, and 2 nonfiction pieces. One of them I wrote as a book proposal, which was turned down.
Okay.
A brief history of of predicting the future. My show's about the future. And the other is 6 articles that I'd written for Jim Baen Universe magazine. I rewrote them, updated them, and put them together as a little nonfiction piece. They're all about the deep future. And those I put at 99 cents because they're shorter. They're about 7,000 words. And those started selling pretty well. And I think they started getting some attention to my novels.
Yeah.
So that the novels people weren't really discovering, but nonfiction people will search for that by topic.
Anything with your name on it has a bleed over effect.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have I write in a lot of different genres. I do thrillers, I do comic horror, I do YA, and I do it all under my name. The only thing I don't write under my name is erotica. Not because I'm ashamed of writing erotica, but for 2 reasons. One, I don't want any YA readers to accidentally find my porn. And 2, I'm really bad at it, and I'm a little ashamed that I'm writing so poorly.
You writing under a girl's name?
No.
Initials?
Initials.
Even though a lot of male-on-male porn is written by women, it's almost always written under a male name because it sells better if the perception is written by a gay male.
That it's more authentic.
Yeah, not all of it. I mean, Selena writes hers under her name.
Well, yeah, but Selena is a rock star in that field.
And has a huge list.
Do you have some stuff up for...
Nope, I actually don't write anything except for really boring nonfiction software technical manuals.
Oh, I see. Okay.
No one would read and write mine.
Come, get pizza.
I interviewed a guy a few years ago, and he wrote Perl manuals. Of course, they were, physical books.
PERL like the software, not
Yeah.
PEARL like how to put dirt in an oyster.
Right.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
something will be over
It was
Selena Kindle.
Randall Schwartz. I don't know if you know him. He's,
Not Pearl necklace manuals.
Yeah. No.
Whoa! I went there. Recorder's still running, right?
Yeah, but this is not for release.
Feel free.
Okay.
If I say it in front of people, it's for release.
Okay. Okay.
Because I've done a lot of conventions in my other life before I quit the day job and before I moved into writing full time. The rule is that the second you step out of your hotel room, you're on.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And you're not off until you get back into your hotel room at the end of the night. You're on.
Okay.
And that means you're on in the bathroom.
Realistic.
You're on at dinner.
Not the stuff that I write. Yours would be horribly
So,
more
you just don't, if you don't want it for public consumption, don't fucking say it.
Very good. I liked it.
The company I used to work for, I worked in the entertainment lighting industry, and the company I worked for was the largest distributor of theatrical lighting equipment in the world.
Yeah.
We had a lot of competitors.
Were you sales?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, I was a regional sales manager, roughly, for theatrical lighting equipment. I covered 7 states, including the one we're in.
Okay. So do you guys have stuff out electronically right now? Or are you just hoping to get some stuff out or planning to? Or what's your...
We're hitting the keyboard.
Yeah. I've had a lot of BIC time, so just a matter of getting it. I have a friend of mine that's an editor, so to speak. So she goes through and cleans it up for me. So I have a couple things that I'm going to put out soon.
Awesome. Here's an offer I make, and this is an offer I make freely to pretty much everybody I run into. If you would like a short story to be in one of my Bubba stories, I ain't going to give you any money, but it'll give you some exposure. If you want to email me a short story, I'll throw it in the back of my Bubba story 1 month.
What's the criteria?
Same genre?
I would like for it to at least be fantasy or horror. I mean, hard science fiction, it's not really going to do you any crossover good.
Hawaiian?
Hawaiian,
Right
that's
here,
us.
right here.
Aloha.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
darling, I didn't catch your name, but you need more pizza. You're going to have to eat more. You're going to have to eat more than that. You want a piece?
I can have it.
Sorry.
It's okay. That's why I have my illicitly snuck in food.
Illicitly.
I'm Ashley, by the way.
There you go, Pepper.
Ashley, it's great to meet you. Are you from Florida, or do you actually live in Florida and came all the way up here?
Wow,
Yes,
it must be
yes.
straight out of the oven.
Wow.
Yeah, looks like it. I was visiting my mom. She just moved to Tennessee. Oh, no, we are not stalking you. No, we are not. Just stay away from my dessert.
It's not that I don't love you or anything, but keep your paws off my pizza. Do you guys have pizza coming?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were.
This is actually really good. I have stayed here several times and not eaten the pizza.
So you live around here or something?
No, I live in Charlotte.
Really? Cool.
Oh, we were just there.
Big eye.
You been to Con Carolinas?
Oh yeah. This was my first Con Carolinas. I sold more books than I ever have at a 3-day con.
Everybody was saying sales were great.
Oh my God, sales were good. Usually the 3-day con, if I do 20 books, I'm amazed. I did 49 books.
Wow.
I remember because I was trying hard to get to 50 at the last day.
I've been trying to figure out if I should have, because my most recent novel, I've got 2 novels in print, but one of them, the most recent one, is only as an ebook on Kindle. And I've been trying to figure out if I should do the, Create Space thing? That's why I was asking if it would affect the sales rankings.
Well, no, because your Kindle rankings are separate from your print rankings.
Well, using Amazon's magic formula, there is crossover between the formats.
Well, what I've discovered though is
And as
I
James
created
Pedersen knows, there's even crossover between the not really even a book, as long as you link it together sales.
Well, when I created just a few weeks ago an author page, the default is I discovered is that when people go to just my name, the author page, it lists my books with the paper versions first.
Yep.
Do you have those same ones out on Kindle?
Yeah, they're available as Kindle. And the Kindle numbers look nice.
Link them together, because that's what you want to get Amazon to let you do, is to link your Kindle edition even to an out-of-print paper copy. Because
Yeah,
then
so they
when
both
people
editions
go
would
to the
list?
Kindle edition,
Yeah, I
and
have
they look
them.
and it says, paperback, Del Rey, out of print, or whoever it is.
Yeah, it doesn't say out of print, but it does.
Well, it only shows used price, and that's the same thing.
It shows the book cover, and then it shows both of the types, like the paperback and the Kindle. But the default seems to be that it shows the paperback one first.
That's, the author pages do that, and it's extraordinarily annoying.
Yeah, because Kindle numbers look nice,
And if you
but
try and search from there, it takes you to books instead of the Kindle. Which, for me, is exactly the opposite of what I always want.
I don't know. Maybe they make more money that way. I don't know.
Well, with some authors, they, and I do see it some, even though my readers are mostly ebook readers, some authors and some major publishers put their print price and their ebook price at exactly the same, under the apparent illusionary theory that print didn't really cost us anything anyway. Also, Amazon puts the book, may not be discounted, but they'll put it in their for-free program. And so you will see, for some authors, the print copies will sell better. And there's promotions that Amazon might have that they want people to read.
Well, plus
will show up only on the print side.
for authors that are trying to make a list, the Times list still drives, while they have their ebook list, the main Times list is still a print list.
We don't ever get there on free space.
No, but you can make it to the USA Today list as a self-published author.
Well, I think you can get to the electronic list.
How big do your sales have to be to make it, though?
I wouldn't know.
You haven't made it?
Amanda Hawking size.
You don't have to be quite there,
You get
but you got to be close.
So busy that you decide you have to have a real publisher because you're tired of doing marketing.
Or when
Or
someone
50
just,
Shades of Grey.
when someone just backs the money truck up and
And
drops
dumps it.
$1.25 million on your doorstep for 4 books. I'm still waiting. I keep emailing my address to the guy with the money truck, and dumbass hadn't found me yet.
A year and a half ago, I interviewed Michael Stackpole on various topics, mostly about publishing, trends in publishing.
Well, this was before he pissed off the whole world, wasn't it?
It might have been. It was long
Because this
enough
was
ago.
before he had done his Spartacus.
I don't know.
Oh, search Michael Stackpole Spartacus.
Okay.
He did a blog post where he compared traditionally published, I think the term he used for traditionally published authors was house slaves.
I'm not surprised. He was going on and on about, because I was grilling him about the trends in publishing, especially ebooks and stuff like that. At the time, I had nothing up on the Kindle, and I was really kind of picking his brain for my own, use as well as for the show. So he was going on about how all the benefits, all the pros and cons, the pros mostly, of self-publishing as electronic edition, both the Kindle and Nook. And I said, you sound so enthused about it. Have you published anything of your own strictly as a Kindle book or as an ebook? And he says, yes, I have. And he probably mentioned the title. And he says, he said that he's never again going to sign a contract where he gives away any of the electronic rights. And he says almost all of the publishing houses have drawn a line in the sand that they will not sign a deal if they can't get the electronic rights. And he says if they don't meet me at my demand, he says, well, then they don't want my book. And I mean, he was really adamant about it.
And Mike can do that.
Yeah, he's a name.
None of us are Mike Stackpole.
Right.
I signed over a chunk of the e-rights for my Black Knight series when I went with Bellbridge. I kept a piece of them, and there was some back and forth negotiation to make all that happen. But for me, there are 2 main reasons I wanted to go with a traditional publisher. One, they're making me a better writer. Going through the process of a developmental edit on a book and having someone who is paid to rip that book to shreds and doesn't care about my feelings and gets paid whether or not I like them,
We're getting that for free.
they are so, and has a PhD in linguistics. Yeah. And having an editor who is a best-selling science fiction and fantasy author. That kind of growth for me, what I liken it to is grad school. I could pay $25,000 over 3 years and get an MFA in creative writing. Or I can give up probably $25,000 in royalties over 3 years and learn the same amount and still be paid money. And honestly, I hope I'm giving up a lot more than 25 grand in royalties, because that means I'll be getting a lot more than 25 grand in royalties. So,
And it'll also build your other titles that aren't with them.
exactly. Anything that increases my personal brand discoverability is good for me long term. So they have a weekly conference call with the nationwide buyer for Barnes & Noble. They have had a book a month that was the Kindle Daily Deal. The Kindle Daily Deal is $5 grand in sales in a day, probably.
It's been self-published books this week. The Kindle Daily Deal has been self-published books this week.
Oh, nice.
Today it's 5 romance books. I think yesterday, I've slept since then, but yesterday was self-published too.
Bet you didn't pick me.
Amazon's got a thing on there where you can put your book up for where people can get it for free if they're part of the Prime. Have you tried that? I put mine on that just as an experiment.
I saw zero net effect when I put the Bubba stories up there that way. Right now I'm doing a novel, and it's one of my lower performing titles. I've seen some borrows, and I'm about to have my free days. So, we'll see. You know, I sell 3 copies a month on all other outlets, and 30 copies a month on Amazon. I have nothing to lose with this title.
Oh,
You want another piece of pizza? Well, come on then. Let's split this last scrap here.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
How much marketing do you do for your free days?
I go on kindleboards.com. I go to the Writers Cafe, and somebody there has very kindly put up a list of the places that do free promos. I email those people.
You got a Facebook page?
I have my own Facebook page.
The only times I ever hear about or make use of those 3 days is if I get them on Facebook. Otherwise, I don't know about them.
What marketing stuff have you done that seems to work pretty well? I mean, trying to get book reviews.
Chapter swaps.
What does that mean?
Like I'm telling y'all, I'll put your story in the back of a Bubba story. I did that last year with a guy named Derek Canyon. We swapped. I put the back chapter of my story. I put the first chapter of my story in the back of one of his novels, and he did the same with mine. And we both saw actually like a 15% increase in sales the next month.
That's kind of interesting. That's a little bit like what I do with my show. If I know somebody's a big blogger, I'll put them in my show. I'll interview them and stuff, get to pick their brain, get them talking. And then on their blog, they'll be promoting my show simply because they're in it.
Exactly.
So the crossover, you're in, so his readers are reading your stuff. And plus, he's already promoting that anyway. Yeah, you're tapping into another audience. Yeah.
Right.
Killer.
There have been a few sites that occasionally were helpful. I did one good blog tour. I did one bad blog tour.
What's a blog tour?
Where you find a list of, say, 20 blogs. And you say, hey, I'm doing a blog tour. Can I guest post on your blog? Or can I do an interview? Or will you do a review? And there are companies that will do blog tours for you. For anything from like $50 all the way up to thousands of dollars.
Better to do it yourself, isn't
For
it?
thousands of dollars, I want a fucking boing boing.
Yeah.
I want Perez fucking Hilton for that kind of gash. Sorry.
Can they make? Can they make?
I want to make sure there weren't any little kids behind me.
Yeah, right. Can they make guarantees like that though?
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Wouldn't guest blogging yourself be the most effective?
I didn't even have a
Trick is convincing the blogger to put your post on their site.
Some request guest bloggers.
Yeah.
But do they
Unfortunately,
have more than 10 readers?
that's the problem.
Okay.
Is finding the right equilibrium. Finding a blog that wants content or would like to have your content and has enough market saturation to make it worth you doing.
For example, John emailed me on the 24th of January, and apparently I actually replied to him. And John says, hey, my book's going to be up here free. And I said, hey, thanks.
Which blog is yours? Oh!
What's it say?
Tell me why that one is on my list.
Can it be said on recorder?
That's up to you.
Yeah, it's Books on the Knob.
By the way, Karen's a big fucking deal.
I have a few readers, more than 10.
I've probably gotten more free books off your lists than off.
Do you have any more names
anything.
besides Karen? That's all I see on your badge.
That's it. Karen and Tennessee.
That's hysterical. Because I didn't even look at the card when you gave me your card.
Most of you're looking at, I just searched your name. So here's.
Yeah, because
Yeah, you just sent me another email too.
Yeah, because I have another free day coming up next week.
I haven't read that one.
Okay, there are kids in the house now.
Okay.
Okay, but that's okay. It's a young adult fantasy.
I looked at it. I didn't.
Yeah. But yeah, her site is one of the 3 or 4 that I always make sure that I'm hit. It's Books on the Knob, Pixel of Ink.
I gotta run to the piano. No.
There's 3 or 4 others. Yeah. That's hysterical.
I did a search and I found websites that review books, or that is blogs that review books, specifically ebooks, and no physical books at all. I don't know if that's a growing trend. I found 3 at least.
Yeah, there are some.
Yeah, so that's a hopeful sign.
And there are good and bad quality ones. I actually don't do huge numbers of reviews. Pixel of Ink does a lot of reviews. There's some people out there that read, I sort of must read a book or 2 a day. as many as they get through.
Who is that? Kleesner? What's her name? She's like the #1 rated reviewer on Amazon. So much so that in traditional publishing, she's become a verb. When she's requested when she's requested an advance of your book, it says your book has been Kleesnered or whatever. Because my friend Laura put that on her Twitter feed last week, and I thought it particularly telling about the number of industry people that follow her that there were not 20 responses saying, "What?"
I'm surprised books are growing shorter. I mean, without any specific length they've got to be. And I guess that's natural.
Speed, too. I mean, everybody can read faster than any of us can write.
The other problem is the big publishers didn't want to bring little books out as much. They pushed the bigger book process, I think, to a large extent. And then you've also got people reading eBooks, reading on their phone, reading on this tablet, and your eyes start hurting after a while. You don't want to read anything really long. Now on the e-ink, that's not as true. That's where everyone reads their mission. You don't want to lug around that 4-pound book.
Yeah, because I've got the Kindle Fire, I've got my iPad. I think I'm really going around the corner at my house to the pawn shop, and I'm buying an old school Kindle version 3 because the e-ink display is just so much better.
So much better.
And yeah, I like the 3, but that's the one I had, and I sold it to a buddy for $50 when I got my Kindle Fire.
Hey, I got a Fire, I don't need this stupid Kindle.
That's exactly what I said. And then I wanted to read outside. And I was like, oh, well, poop.
Brandon Sanderson. I was not about to haul my copy of Way of Kings report.
I bought an analog edition of Mistborn just to have Brandon sign it. Because anymore, that's the only analog edition books I buy, is autographed copies or books by friends. The problem is I have done so many cons this year, and I'm making so many writer friends that one, that's getting expensive. Because people will swap paperbacks all day long, but hardback swaps are tough. And two, my shelf's getting full.
My shelves are beyond full.
Oh, I bet.
But,
Yeah, I got
I have
stacks.
stacks of them. I finally convinced most people to quit sending me paper books. Finally.
Have you read
Most-
David Coe's new book? Or now it's D.B. Jackson's new book?
Thief Taker. I haven't read it.
Brilliant.
Really?
Whoa, yeah. Really good. David, aside from being a friend of mine, what I took from that book, and I really love it when I can learn something about my craft from a book that I'm reading, description. His settings are so well written that I was like, wow, you make me want to puke a little. And I'm not a history buff, but it really made me very interested in pre-revolutionary Boston. So I want to get a copy for my brother, who is a history buff and was a history teacher.
I had the same feeling when I read Guns of the South, Harry Turtledove.
Yeah.
The descriptions were astounding. And it was the little throwaway stuff. It wasn't even major for the plot or something.
Have you ever read a book that made you just want to quit writing?
No, they made me want to write better.
Pat Rothfuss gave me writer's block for a month.
Really?
Have you read Name of the Wind?
No.
Okay, the King Killer Chronicles is the single best epic fantasy being written today. I don't know anyone, and I'm including like Neil Gaiman in this, and I'm a big Gaiman fanboy. I read the prologue, and I felt like that kid who's had 3 guitar lessons and he goes to see Clapton. I'm like,
I can never do that.
Shit. Yeah, I'm like, I'm never going to be this good. I should just quit now.
I'm sorry.
I look over and I see my covers. Oh, here you go, though. That's A $350 cover.
It's a good cover. It is. It's
Who
a
did
very
it?
good cover.
A guy named Carl Graves. He's on the list that I passed out. He does all of Blake Crouch and Joe Conrad's covers.
Yeah, and the other two covers also look really good.
Yeah, and this one,
That's your $50 cover.
no, that's a $200 cover by that one's also a pretty darn good cover, I think. It's by a guy named Rob Hinckley.
They have such great fast answers, but it is free.
It better be, well.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's why I was hiding it.
$200?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
It was worth every single penny. Isn't that striking?
Amazing. I want 50 copies.
What is it we're looking at here? The device. Is that a Fire?
That's the Nook tablet. That's their newer tablet. I like the Kindle Fire in many ways better. The browser is better. The ability to get apps on it is better. The fact that it works on Amazon is way better. But the battery life is not better.
Oh.
The battery life on this one is really good. And the reason they have it here is Bane has me addicted to their stupid planet. And I have to feed it every 4 hours. Or it dies.
So that's another professionally done cover. And one of the things you always want to look at when you're getting a cover done for an ebook is make sure the title's big enough.
Yeah,
You got to be able to read it
that
as
is
a
the thing.
thumbnail.
Yeah.
At that size, I don't want to see it humongous. It's not a big deal. But if I can get down at the bottom when you're looking at his books, I don't know who the hell that is because I can't read it.
Right.
But I can read this one.
Yeah.
That must be Bubba. I can't read
Totally
Bubba. Did you pay $50 for Bubba?
No, I paid like 15.
Where's the one that you paid very little for?
The one
The one I picked
the one you
out.
can't read.
Oh, that one,
The one
okay.
you can't read my name on.
There's like a dark spot in front of a moon. I can see that, but I can't read the name or anything else. This one, see, I can read the name. See how nice that is?
Yeah.
Even small. That one I can read the name.
Do a critique of my book covers. My name is Stephen Euin Cobb. You can type it from
I
there.
had you up there a second ago.
Did you?
The
Plus,
other-
they're
the
not
other
all available
publishing-
on the. They're only available through Kindle. So.
Well, that's
Well, she's on the Amazon side.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
first thing I did was when they came out with this was see whether or not it would actually work for Amazon's Read Online program. I have to reboot the net.
Why do you have to reboot it?
Because its browser crashed. It won't do any Flash right now.
Oh, okay.
And there isn't any ability to shut it off without turning the whole thing off. And Barnes & Noble doesn't want you to run anything on their stuff. Skin Brain.
Yeah.
Is combat yours? Or just,
No.
Okay.
Skin Brain, Bones Burnt Black, and
It's readable. It's very plain.
I don't like that cover.
which one?
Yeah, but it is at
Skin
least
Brain.
readable.
Okay.
It is legible.
Your name is too predominant.
Yeah.
My name's kind of long.
Yeah, but it's
Is there another Stephen Cobb writing?
No.
there actually apparently was. It wrote combat, but
Oh, somebody wrote combat.
but not with your middle name.
Oh.
Yeah, that cover tells
But
me
the
nothing.
thing is your name is bigger than Skin Brain, which I admit is an issue because you picked such a long title. Your subtitle's actually worse.
Well, the subtitle, yeah. Well, my original title was Skin Brain. Then I thought of 40 different titles. One of them I sent to,
Okie
What's
What
the
am I-
book about?
I don't know.
well, the Skin Brain, it refers to an
An
alien.
alien with brains in his skin.
The brain of the alien is built into its skin.
Duh.
Okay.
They reproduce by budding, and so the offspring are able to carry part of the knowledge of the
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah, you're right.
Everybody picks on the publisher.
I write hard science fiction.
You know, the covers don't make the
That's
book.
not a hard science
And
fiction
that
cover.
was true
Okay.
in the 1800s.
Do you know what that actually is a picture of?
Plain.
An arm.
But
No.
then
It's the side of a
the grain
stomach.
of leather
It's supposed to look like
made the
skin.
book.
It does look like skin. That's why I was going to tell you it's an erotica cover.
Oh, okay.
How much they're going to pay the artist.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's why when we
Can you
walk through
find
the
Bones Burnt
bookstore,
Black in there?
the ones that are turned this way.
It was designed
Does it
for.
look like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones that
yeah,
someone
based on
paid
the
the
cover.
artist to
Is
pay
it a horror?
money.
No.
because someone had
Okay, that's a horror
leaked the
cover.
book
Okay.
to sell.
No,
Or maybe even a thriller cover.
it's sort of a thriller. It's an action-adventure
So
type
you
story.
do have to spend money on cover.
It
You really do.
a spaceship is sabotaged and it makes a near pass of the sun, and many people
It's science
die.
fiction.
Yes. Yeah.
Put a spaceship on it.
Anything.
Didn't think
Put
of
an alien on it. I don't care.
A star.
Anything.
There is a
Did you
star.
find it?
Where?
Yeah.
It's the sun.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
coming up.
Full of fire.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the next one.
Oh, you can't find it on there.
Indistinguishable from magic. That's like horrid.
Okay. That's a non-fiction. Yeah, that's non-fiction.
That's nonfiction. That's fine.
Yeah, that's okay. A brief history of predicting the future. That's also nonfiction. And
Yeah.
Perfectly good.
Yeah.
Plague at Red Hook. It's, the title's small.
But the
But
cover's
The
interesting.
cover's interesting.
I like that image.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I
And actually,
I-
I kind of like that one.
I don't like the typography
Oh, the typography's terrible, but
because if you're gonna,
it's
I
got a
don't-
skull coming out of the sun. It has
I
a
can
terrible
tell that
font,
yeah, the font's god awful, and
and you can't read your name at all.
your font is only this chunk in the title bigger.
And so I can't read your name at all because you put white on top of that yellow.
I like that picture better than that because I can tell that it's kind of a star thing.
Okay. Yeah, this is just a bookmark.
Yeah. That's the piece of marketing that you're handing to people.
Yeah, it ends up being that. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's
This-
more important than your business card.
This cover was designed when it was only a book and it was not. It's from 2004.
So what would you do? You change the typography.
I completely redo the
Of both
typography.
the title and the name.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on his bookmark, what would you do?
I'd probably shrink the image
Yeah.
So you can actually
So it's
see
more
what it
obvious
is?
that
so that I can tell what it is.
Okay.
And I may
It
even
doesn't
put the
matter
word.
that the bottom third or half is black. That would actually make your name stand out.
Yeah, and I'd rotate your name so that your name reads like we read.
Okay.
Because now I've got logical reading and turn the bookmark for logical reading. Because you've got thing. I may even say a sci-fi thriller by Stephen Euin Cobb.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if they can't immediately tell from the picture and the title that it's a thriller. I might think it's like some sort of weird zombie apocalypse book. You got skulls on there. Maybe it's
My
not hell.
immediate statement was
Not
horror.
hell. Yeah, it's horror. Skulls is almost always horror.
And the title does sound kind of horrorish.
Yeah.
Horror-ish.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, see, this is the size that everyone else sees his titles at because we all look at this with our phones. So if I'm being really generous, I make it that big. But probably not. I probably look at that size normally. That's what size of his title I see. You see, I can read his title. You probably read his title from over there.
Well,
Or black.
I can't because these are not my reading glasses. Yes, I can.
Back something black.
Back in black.
And that's from a long ways away at a very small size. His cheap one, you can't tell.
Yeah, the one I made. Can't read.
Theirs is The Chosen. Get a little less for that.
By the way, when choosing book titles, it's important not to choose the title of a National Book Award winner.
That would be a bad.
Is that what chose?
Yeah, The Chosen was by Chaim Potok, and it won the National Book Award.
Well, why is that bad? I mean, it's unethical, I would think, since you'll steal some of
What,
his
the Hauling
flyers.
Goats?
Yes, I
Thank you.
actually like that.
I really enjoy my Hauling
Holy
Goats.
goats?
Hall and Goats.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Holland goats. Okay. Why is it bad to pick that?
Because because people who are searching for a book on Jews are finding my contemporary
Not
urban
book of
fantasy.
bunches. Okay.
Yeah.
And they really don't buy it.
No. Yeah, the one that I had it's only a mediocre cover, but Footloose.
They have something?
Yeah, there we go. I found a stock image of a foot with a Bigfoot in it.
With a Bigfoot already
Yeah.
in it. I thought you did that.
No.
Okay.
So this is another one. So the only thing I don't like about the covers is there's no continuity. The images are just all
True
over
story.
the place.
The
For a series, you'd want continuity?
If I were actually with the novels particularly, with the Bubba stuff, there's continuity in the collections. The collections look alike.
How far ahead do you plan your stories?
Right now, because I'm wrapping up what I call season 1, I'm pretty well planned. I've got season 1 pretty well planned, and I know the big bad for season 2, but a lot of times I sit down and it's time to write my Bubba story this month, and I go to a website that has a list of all kinds of science fiction and fantasy monsters, and I pick one. I'm like, Bubba's killing that. Bubba the Monster Hunter.
Oh.
Bubba's hunting goblins.
Long ago, I came across a website that had a list of all the overused science fiction tropes. There was 100 of them, at least.
I'd like to go through those 10 at a time and use all of them. Yeah. But yeah, I have a list of. Eventually, Bubba will face the Baba Yaga.
What's that?
Baba Yaga's a witch with a house, and her house walks on chicken legs.
How do I know these things?
Is this like a legend or
Yeah.
something? Oh, okay.
It's Eastern European, I believe.
And I'm trying to remember what book I've read recently that had one in it. That's why I actually know
There's
that.
a vampire game on Facebook that had it.
Definitely didn't see it there.
But Bubba is going to fight the Baba Yaga, and he is going to cook the chicken legs. Because he's Bubba.
Oh, thank you, Peg.
Where'd the camera go? Oh.
It's right here.
I asked him, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I had Bubba fight Bigfoot. And there's a 2-paragraph discussion on the size of Bigfoot's schlong. Because Bigfoot don't wear pants.
And they say,
And he's 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
Just for proportion.
The size of a person's foot.
Right.
Yeah.
Just for proportion. Just for him to be proportioned.
His hands, his fingers.
Just for him to be proportioned correctly. He's packing some meat.
In current TV.
Anyway,
You don't get any of the jokes, what?
In current TV.
What all else do I had Bubba fight? I had Bubba fight Cupid in a nursing home. There was a Cupid rampaging through a nursing home.
Okay, you ready? Take our picture?
Oh, yes, okay.
Come on over here.
Maybe I'll just sit up there.
And you just push this button here.
You got it.
My teeth red.
And try to get everybody. You may have to sit down in that chair.
This is my authorly pose.
You're right against the wall. Yeah.
All your illicit trash. Cheese. Beer.
Cheese.
Beer cheese.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you do DragonCon?
I have. We've done maybe 3 times over the years. It's so hectic there.
And expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. Even the parking is expensive.
Yeah, someone's trying to talk me into doing one in Atlanta because the Marriott there has free parking.
Which Marriott there? Because not downtown.
It's gonna be like Marietta. It's way out.
There's one in the Marriott Century
I've
Center.
been to Marriott's in the middle of nowhere. And
The
still
Marriott
they
Century
force-
Center has free parking. It's right before you get to Spaghetti Junction.
Oh, okay.
That must be the one that is.
You've done DragonCon?
Yeah, I did Dragon last year. I'll be doing Dragon this year. I have to. My publisher is the sponsor for the writing track. I have a lot of decently placed mid-list author friends who then introduce me to other decently placed mid-list authors. So from a business standpoint, I can't not do Dragon.
Okay. We've been there, I guess, 3 times. The only time I had a really great time was the year I won a Parsec Award for my show.
I would think. Yeah. Congrats, dude.
Well,
That's awesome.
Thank you. I interviewed Brandon Sanderson yesterday, and I said, it's nice to meet you. I hear you've won twice as many parsecs as I have. He's won 2 parsecs. Yeah.
Bitch. His podcast is friggin' awesome.
Yeah, I haven't heard it. I haven't listened to it yet.
It's good.
Yeah.
I was listening. I listen to podcasts on long drives. So I listened to several episodes on the way up. After I got tired of listening to Colt Cabana's The Art of Wrestling.
Give me the story on this Spartacus thing that we were talking about. I don't really understand that exactly. How did Michael Stackpole, participate?
Oh, Michael wrote a blog post called House Slaves versus Spartacus.
Oh yeah, you said he referred
and
to
he basically referred to traditionally published authors as house slaves. And that if you're going to be Spartacus, you're going to be a self-published author. And his statements have some validity. I think he chose to be inflammatory because how else do you get readers?
Yeah, he may have been aggravated.
He may well have been.
Yeah, the quote I gave you in the panel last summer, May 25th, 2011. I did the 200th episode of my show, and I sent out emails to people that I had interviewed for the show before. And the one from Mike Resnick came back. It was one sentence, if I remember right. It was, I predict that within the next 2 to 3 years, at least one and possibly as many as 3 of the major houses will be sued into bankruptcy for lying on royalty statements, which can now be proven because of direct reporting of ebook sales. And he was hot. I had interviewed him a couple times in person at various cons, and the last time I'd seen him, he was hot, and it was on that.
It's 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay, then we need to boogie.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's great to meet you.
Yeah, thank
great
you.
talking to you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That was John G. Hartness. You can learn more about him using the links I've placed in the show's blog post, which is located at thefutureandyou.libsyn.com. Libsyn is spelled Libsyn. That's it for this episode of The Future and You. This program is licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivative Works 2.5 license. A copy of this license may be viewed at creativecommons.org. Briefly, this means you may, indeed you are encouraged to, copy this entire program as many times as you wish and give it away to as many people as you wish. But you may not copy only a portion of this program, you may not charge anyone any amount of money for it, and you may not use any portion of it to make something new. On the other hand, anyone whose obvious goal is to recommend the show to others automatically gets special dispensation. Offline reviews, which include the show's website, may include brief quotes. And online reviews, such as for a blog or community group or web page, which provide a conspicuous link to the show's website, may use as many quotes as they wish, up to and including a transcript of 1/2 of any interview. The show's theme music is a blues number called Some Sympathy by Chris Jurgensen and is from his album Big Bad Sun, which is available at Magnatune.com. Magnatune is an independent record label that sells its catalog of music through online downloads and print-on-demand CDs. The company allows artists to retain full rights to their music and splits equally with an artist all the revenue from the sale of their work. All the music at Magnatune may be previewed free of charge, and customers can even choose how much they want to pay for the music, with pricing ranging from $5 to $18 per album. You can learn more about them at Magnatune.com. That's spelled Magnatune.com. If you have a theory or opinion about what the future will contain, be it the near future or the far future, you may email it to me at thefutureandyou.com. That's me@thefutureandyou.com. You may also suggest topics that you would like to hear discussed, or send contact information for experts that you feel might provide valuable insights into the future. Mind you, an expert is not necessarily someone with an impressive degree. The best experts are the people who live or work or strive in the area under discussion. If the subject is science or medicine or academia, a degree is important, but if the discussion concerns trends in construction or firefighting or video gaming, a degree is pretty much meaningless. To get the inside dope, you've got to find the people who actually do this stuff every day. They are the first to see the trends because the trends have already begun changing their lives. As to the topics we will explore in the next episode of The Future and You, I can make no guarantees. Interviews are still being sought, recorded, and edited. All I can promise is that we will ruminate on the future. To learn more, check the show's website at thefutureandyou.com. If you enjoyed the program, please mention it to a friend, and be sure to join me again next time. Until then, I have been your host, Stephen Euin Cobb. On behalf of myself and all my guests, I thank you for listening.